SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's the B.O.B., and I'm here with my man E. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well, Bob, and I hope you are too.
Absolutely. I'm finally feeling like I'm over the COVID.
Oh,
So
you sound better. Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I feel like yesterday was probably the first day really that I felt myself again. So
You're warned, folks. Take your vitamin D.
absolutely. Well, this is Around the Table with E and the Fat Man. That is E. I am the Fat Man. This is the podcast that we talk about whatever we want. Today, talked a little bit about it before the show, and E had a great idea of let's talk about a couple things that we did not see coming this early in the SimWorld prep season 2. E, What is something that you're just kind of like, I don't think I would have ever thought of that, or maybe not predicted that before the season started.
Yeah. Well, there's been more than a few things, but there's a couple that are top of my mind. And the first one I'll throw out that I just did not see coming. Heartland Zombie Stars, undefeated and looking pretty good. I like what Coach Brian Lovelace has going on back in the Buckeye State, where I'm originally from, by the way. He has really put something together. And again, I didn't see it coming. You know, we had the three Hilarios coming into the scene there. We had, Robert McGee, Honcho Hardwick coming back as a couple bigs down low. And of course, most importantly, had the James gang, Benari James and Barkley James, showing up to play there. And, they just keep on winning, and they look pretty good doing it. Benari James, I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised that he's been great, but he has. Averaging more than 21 points a game. Benari doing Benari things and winning ball games. Barkley also chipping in, playing well. But really, got to say, top to bottom, this whole team, I love how they're constructed. I love how they're playing. I think in AJ Blaylock and Adrian Hilario, you got two sort of, very traditional kind of 3-and-D guys. They can pop from outside, and they both play really nice defense, both averaging a steal or more a game. And then down low, kind of complementing this all, well, I mentioned Hardwick and I mentioned Robert McGee, but it's really kind of been Jaquan Johnson, surprising folks, 16-year-old, 6'8", 260-pound banger out of Milwaukee, who's averaging about 10 points and 7 rebounds a game, and playing pretty darn well. I mean, if anything with the Zombie Stars, I look at a guy like Robert McGee who can't even get 10 minutes a game, and he, by the numbers, by the analytics, is the most efficient guy on this entire squad, averaging 4 points and 4 rebounds. So I really, and that's also kind of true for Ghazi Hunterson. Averages just 5 minutes a game, but he's efficient in the 5 minutes he gets out there. I love what Coach Lovelace is doing. I don't think it's a fluke. Heartland Zombie Stars look real to me, and I'm surprised, but you got a good thing going on in the Midwest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the fact that Benari James is playing the way that he's playing, I think that is what a lot of us expected from him. I think a lot of us expected a top 5 player from him if he was able to keep it all together. And he has. The addition of his brother has obviously been a good thing. Statistically, I mean, obviously Barkley's only averaging 6 points a game right now, but I feel like he's an easy double-digit guy once he really gets into the swing of things. Obviously, he came on late in the off season, so he's still kind of learning everybody else other than his brother. But yeah, that's a very well constructed team. I'm a big Honcho Hardwick fan. I'd like to see him get a little bit more. You're gonna need to, because with him being the 6'10" guy, he's the big on the team. When it starts going up against these bigger teams, they're definitely gonna need him. So no, I definitely the Heartland Zombie Stars were one of the teams where it was like it could go either way. It just depended on one or two things, and those one or two things are happening for them. So
yeah, that's true. Didn't know. Right, that team was a mystery box at the start of the season, and I feel like we kind of know them now, and I think that we know that they're good.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stay positive in my first one as well, and I'm gonna have to go with Gulf Coast Lockdown. I knew in the off season, just from the way that he was playing, I knew Kai Killens was going to be a good player. I didn't expect him to be a great player this season. I
At
expected
16
him.
years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I expected maybe a Barkley James type. He's a good player this year. He's not going to sniff the top five, but he's there. And I expected maybe a top five player in season three, but he's leading this team. He's averaging 17.3 points a game. He's getting his 2.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists. Obviously, he's not the most efficient at threes. He's shooting 25%. He's made two.
Yeah, he can pick
But
that
yeah,
up.
but on the other side of things on this team is I didn't really expect Carson Cutbirth to be the number two. And I mean he's doing good. He's facilitating for this team, which every team needs a good facilitator. He's leading the team with 5.3 assists per game, and he's also leading the team in threes per game, almost at 50%. He's hitting 45.5. So I mean, just overall, I mean, they're top two. I think even though they're young, both 16 years old, I mean, this might be the youngest team in SimWorld Prep. They have
Oh,
one
yeah.
17-year-old, one 17-year-old, I think three 15-year-olds, and all the rest are 16-year-olds.
Right. That's
I mean,
right.
this is a scary team. And to be fair, I think I'm not going to say it's going to be easy to replace Deontay Joyce next season, but I mean, if all they have to do is go out there and find one very solid big, I mean, I expect Gulf Coast Lockdown to continue this trend upwards next season. Again, you got the Kai Killens and Carson Cutbirth being the stars for them. You got the guys like Pulley Horace. Again, Deontay Joyce is obviously doing well for them. He's their third leading scorer with
Ezekiel
9.3.
Bull.
Yeah, Ezekiel Bull. I mean, just everywhere on this team, you just have guys doing their job. And that's all you can really ask for, especially at this level. Just do your job and we'll get somewhere.
Yeah, I like that, Bob. I mean, you got to give some credit to Coach Heesh. It looked like he was putting together a lineup for the future, playing for next year or beyond. And no, turns out they're just fine this year too. At least they are through their first 4 games of the year, 3-1. Pretty impressive at that. So yeah, well, Bob, I'm going positive with my other one too.
All right.
Nothing negative to say today, which is that Josiah Cook on the Yacht Club wasn't really on my radar before the season started. Just 15 years old. Again, we're talking about kids here, but the 6'11" big man out of Winter Haven, Florida, I think he's a contender right now. I mean, if the season somehow ended today, I think he would be in the discussion for Player of the Year. He wouldn't win it because that's Cooper Flagg, but he would be in discussion for it, and he should be averaging a double-double, more than 10 points, almost 13 rebounds a game, and 5 assists per contest. I mean, it's kind of crazy out there, the things he's doing. And, I've called a couple Yacht Club games on SimWorld TV already this season. They've only played 3, but they've been televised a couple times. And even in a game like we did over the weekend, where Yacht Club knocked off a good South America squad down in Brazil, I forget Josiah Cook's total point output in that. He didn't score that much, though. He had like 6 points or something. He wasn't a big offensive factor, but he was just a huge part of how and why the Yacht Club came out and got their first win. I made this comment on Discord. I feel like young Josiah is bringing what we always hoped Jason Crosser would, as far as the big man with guard-like skills who can also block shots and get rebounds and be a paint presence. And that's Josiah Cook. I mean, just stat sheet stuffer. He is leading the Yacht Club, not only rebounds, but assists, and also block shots while also ripping a steal a game. I mean, and he shoots efficiently. 58% from the field, 80% from the line. Maybe we got to teach him how to shoot threes. It's the one thing I haven't seen him do yet. But he in my mind is really the engine that when the Yacht Club is playing well, he makes them go. And Josiah Cook, potential Player of the Year candidate for me. Definitely something else I didn't see coming.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, I mean, just overall, having a big who can obviously lead the league in rebounds, but also be in the top 10 in assists. I always think that I feel like that is a game breaker sometimes. If you have a big who can pass the ball, because sometimes, I mean, when you got a big guy down there and sometimes they're going up against smaller guys, the help's going to come for them, which means somebody's going to be open somewhere, and not a lot of bigs have that vision to kick the ball out. You don't have a lot of Jokic's and Embiids who can kick the ball out and find the open guy and hopefully lead to an easy 3 for their team. But yeah, no, I mean, Josiah Cook definitely a big surprise. Not the name from the yacht club that I would have expected heading into the season to be talking about.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. People would think you're going to be talking about the Aaron Cruz, most likely, maybe Trey Willis. And as it's turned out, should mention too, Garrett Hart has been a heck of a pleasant surprise. He doesn't look like the same player at all that I saw last year. Much more aggressive, playing pretty well actually. But yeah, young Josiah, future couldn't be any brighter.
Oh, for sure. And I'm gonna before I give my negative take, I'm gonna throw some honorable mentions, just honorable names out there real quick. Well, you got Cole Abdul-Rauf, Dink Pate. You have these guys who we weren't really thinking were gonna be these, especially Dink Pate. We weren't expecting these offensive outbursts from them, but they're doing it. Orion Toomey, he's got his name in the top 10 for rebounds. I wasn't expecting him to be one of those guys. Again, with AT Aliens, I expected the only person we were going to talk about all season was Royce Anderson. And while he did land on the top 10 with his dunk this past week, Orion Toomey's been a big surprise to me. But I guess
let me get a couple.
Oh yeah, you go ahead too.
A couple in there too that I really want to, as far as that goes. Since we're doing that, Akeem Young with the North.
Oh yeah,
absolute monster. Keontae Smith with Atlantis. I don't think anybody saw that coming. As far as maybe him being one of the better players on the global level, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised by this, but Nathaniel Zilberman leading the league in 3-pointers made so far. The sharpshooter out of Israel, draining it from deep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few names that I have that are not on the 3-pointers made list that have really surprised me. Actually, you know what, I overlooked him. Kenneth Klum is on there. I expected him to be a little bit higher, but it's still early in the season. He's only 4 out. So there's just a lot of positives from some surprise players this year. I'll throw a surprise team out there, and it's only because of the supreme disappointment. It's going to lead into my negative. Supreme disappointment for the first 2 seasons, the Ground Zero season and season 1 for SimWorld Prep. SimWorld Europe being 4-0 right now is a big surprise, and it's less that I don't believe in them talent-wise. It's more that we expected so much from them because they are Europe. When you think of basketball outside of the United States, you're usually Europe and China are the two, or Europe and the Asian countries are usually the two that really jump out to you. I guess I was right to say China. Europe, China. And Europe just really did not live up to their billing, especially even with one of the top players in all of SimWorld Prep, with Vectic last season.
Both years, really.
Yeah, both years, yeah. They did not live up to their billing. Andrei Ivanov is really taking the league by storm, taking SimWorld Prep by storm with his 19.8 and 8 rebounds a game, and 3.5 assists. Another, again, a big that can facilitate
and 1 for 1,
bit.
perfect from deep, deep on the season.
There you go. And Ty Merca was another. I mean, didn't really expect a whole lot from Ty Merca. Expected him to kind of be knocked down the totem pole a little bit, with Zoe Dorn there, Carlos Buffini there for his 7th season. But yeah, I mean, they've been a surprise. But what has been the biggest disappointment for me this year, and not something I would have predicted, because I'm pretty sure I predicted them to be one of the leaders in the Intercontinental region, is SimWorld Asia Pacific. They returned most of their talented players. They brought in a handful of talented players with all of the fields that joined, all 4 of them. I expected, with the return of Kai Newby, JD Reyes, Victor Soto, and Jinsung Deng, I expected them to not be 0-3 right now, with the addition of Devin Fields and Sun Jung Gu, who was a star in the offseason, with Oliver West. Like, I did not expect us to be talking about them sitting at 0-3, but their 3-point efficiency, I think it would be fair to say their 3-point efficiency is really what is doing them in, and their defense. Their defense really isn't there. They have the worst 3-point percentage in all SimWorld prep with 10%. 10% from three.
Yeah.
They're not,
Yeah.
and they're only making 1.3 a game. This isn't the 90s. You
No,
gotta,
Coach Shiro.
you can do that if you have good defense. And right now, they have one of the worst defenses in all of SimWorld prep. So you can't be making 1 3-pointer a game and having the worst defense in SimWorld prep. So they have the talent to turn it around. They're only 0-3. We're 3 games into the season, but I don't know how they're going to be able to turn it around if they can't improve on their defense a little bit and make more than 1-3 a game. So I say Asia Pacific has just been a big disappointment for me this far.
Yeah.
Thus far.
And it is funny because there is talent that I like on this lineup. Kai Newby, JD Reyes, Victor Soto. A lot of familiar names actually. And Leonardo Fields, big newcomer too. And of course, Chang-Gu, who we've all seen what he can do. But yeah, I mean the offense. As bad as the defense has been, the offense has been just shocking for me with Asia Pacific. Jin Song Deng, who actually is a nice player, who we saw contribute last year. Still hasn't made a shot from the field. I mean, it's crazy. Playing 15 minutes a game for these guys. Of course, Chang-Gu can only play home games for the most part, it seems, and playing limited minutes, kind of hard to integrate him that way. And then, you're just looking up and down this lineup, and you're seeing Hiroto Fields shooting 18% from the field. You're seeing Victor Soto clocking in at 35% right now. Kai Newby, 41% and 8% from three. It's just been a shooting nightmare. Coach Shiro Lee has work on both ends of the court to do, but I also did not see Asia Pacific struggling like this coming.
No, absolutely not. Well, I feel like we dove into a bunch of good things here. Do you have any final words for the people?
Obviously we got Christmas coming next weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas Eve, landing next Sunday, so we'll get a Christmas Eve episode out for you guys. I can see that coming.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, no, it's been a early season full of surprises, and I actually think things are going to start to settle into shape now, end of this month, moving into January. I think that we're going to, I think we figured out who a lot of these teams are. There is still time for, narratives to be switched, losing records to turn into winning records and vice versa. But I think we kind of starting to know who the players are, who the teams are out here, and it's going to be fun to watch this shake out over the next couple months.
Absolutely. And if you're not already, go head over to Discord, follow us. If you are following us on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all those things, YouTube at SimWorld TV, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, SimWorld 4K. Make sure you're following us everywhere, and make sure you're sharing us. If you're not sharing us, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. We appreciate you as always, and we'll see you next week.
Later, folks.